Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. In this video, we are going to learn about the Lambda expression in Java and how it is beneficial to use the Lambda expression and what are the advantages it brings us to use the Lambda expression in Java. So Lambda expression was introduced in Java 8 as a part of functional programming. So in this video, we are going to understand about how we can leverage the Lambda expression. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here we are going to take one example and I'll show you how to do the same thing within the imperative style of coding and how we can benefit from the Lambda expression using the same techniques. So let's take one example. Here I'm taking one example as a person class. This person will have few of the fields like name, age, gender and email address, and there will be an admin or a user. You can say that that particular user wants to fetch the data based on the different parameters a person is having. Okay, that's a simple thing. Like a user might be needing the data based on the gender, based on the age, based on the email address, based on the name, whatever. There are different parameters, there are different search criterias. Based on that, the user wants the data. Okay, so let's see how we can do within the imperative style of coding and how we can leverage the Lambda expressions. So let me just create the person class right away. This is my project. So let me just create new Java class and that says person. And for this person, I'll just add few fields. I'll just add string name, int age, string, email address, and for the gender, I'll add the enum over here. So let me just add the enum, public enum, sex, I will say this is male or female. Okay. And here I will say this is gender. So this is what we are using enum and these are the fields in my person class. So now let me just create the getter setters for it. I'll just generate the getter setters for everything. I'll just create one constructor without any argument. I constructed one constructor without any argument and the constructor with all the arguments. Okay, and let me just add the toString method as well. Okay, so here you can see that my class is ready where I have 4 fields, that is name, age, email address and gender. I have created the getter setters for each and every field. I have created the default constructor and a parameterized constructor as well, and I have a toString method as well. Now let me just create one method to print a person as well. So whenever I will call that particular method, I will print a particular person's object. So let me just create one method, public void print person, and what we will do here, we will do sysout and this dot toString. So it will print the current person object. Okay, and let me create one more method to generate a list of person as well, because we are not getting any data from the database, we are just getting the static data. So let me just create one static method that will load the data for me. So I'll just create one method, public static list of person, and I'll just say generate default list, and here I'll create one list of person, and here I'll say people equals to new array list, and here let me just add people dot add new person, and here I'll add the fields, that is Shabir, age is 20 and the gender is sex.male, and the email address, that is shabir@gmail.com, and here you can see that the gender is at the end. So let me just change here, this should be at the end. Okay, so here you can see that with the help of constructor I've created one object. Let me create couple of more objects here. Okay, instead of Shabir I'll just say Nikhil, here I'll just say Shivam, and here I'll add the age as 21, here as 19, Nikhil@gmail.com and Shivam@gmail.com, and sex is male. So you can see that we created 3 objects here, 3 person I have added in my people list, and then I am returning my people list. So simple method to generate a static data and the data has been passed back. Now let's go to the main method and let's understand the scenarios. Now, yeah, what a user user wants to get the data from this particular person. Now imagine that a user wants data based on the multiple fields. Okay, so how a default approach would be? So first let me just go here in the main method and let me just create the list. I just need a list of people, sorry, people equals to person dot generate default list. This will give me the default list of persons available. Okay, now suppose a user wants a person's based on the age older than a particular given age. Okay, that's the first criteria, that's the first query a user wants to perform. So for that, what a general idea would be to create a method where we will pass the entire list and will pass the age, and based on that it will filter out the data and it will give back the data. Okay, so that's the general thing, that's the imperative style of coding that you will do. Let's see how we will be doing that. We'll create one method and we'll pass the values. So let's generate one method. So here what we'll do, I'll just create one method, public static void print person older than. Okay, and here I'm taking the list of person, that is people, and then I'm taking the integer age. Okay, two parameters I'm taking, and based on these two parameters I can print the values. So what I can do, I can loop through all this, that is for person p in people. Okay, and I can just say if p dot get age, that is greater than equals to the age provided, then p dot print person. Simple, right? Like we provided the entire list and we provided the age. Based on that, I am just printing the person over here. So let me just call this method here. I can just say print person older than, and then I'll pass the people list, and then I will pass the value, that is 20. Okay, and if I run this, I should be getting data, that is two records, that is Shabir, that is age 20, and Nikhil, that is age 21. Shivam is not coming because its age is 19. Okay, simple query, simple method that is returning with data. Now the user has the another requirement, like now he needs the data based on the range of age from this age to this age. Now you can see that the criteria is changed and the business logic is also changed. So whatever the business logic that we have wrote here, that is not going to work. So to handle that business logic, we can have another method that can handle that particular logic. Okay, so let me create that method as well to handle that. What we can do here, we can create one more method, that is public static void print person within age range. Okay, and here it is taking list of person as people, int lower age and int higher age. Okay, and then this method, what we will do, we will implement this for each person p in people. If low is less than equal to p dot get age and p dot get age is less than high, then p dot print person. So here you can see that we created the different method to handle the range of age as well. So we are passing the two age parameters and a people list as well to handle that particular scenario. So let me just call that method. So what I'll do, I'll just comment it out this method to call that particular method, so there is no duplicate result. So I'll just call print person within age range, and here I can pass people and then I can pass the range. I can pass 20 and 21. Okay, from 20 and 21 I want all the data. So if I run this, I should get one record, that is 20, that is Shabir. Okay, so here you can see that we created a different method for a different search criteria and it is working fine. Now a user wants another search criteria to handle a different types of search. Now the user wants is like within that particular range that you have given, they need all the male or they need all the females. Okay, you can see that one more search criteria is added. Now we cannot go every time and create a different method this way. So what we can do is we can create a interface, and that interface will have a method to check the criteria, and you can go and implement that particular interface within that particular class, and you can call that class. That's a simple way that we can do. Okay, so let's create an interface and let's implement that interface in a class, and we can add any logic to it. So what I'll do, I will create one interface here, interface check person. Okay, and this check person will have a method boolean test, and which will take parameter person p. Okay, so this particular check person is the interface. Now for any of the logic that you want to implement, you can go ahead and implement this particular interface, so that you have to override or you have to implement this test method as well. So whatever the logic you give in this particular test method, accordingly your logic should work. Okay, so now let's do that. What we will do, so for this particular check person interface, let's implement one class. So I'll just create one class, that is static class check person eligible for selective search. Okay, that implements check person interface. And here you can see that it is asking me to implement a method. So let's go and implement the test method. Okay, you can see that we have to implement this test method. Now here we can add the logic. So what we are adding is, for that p person, p dot gender should be equal to person dot sex dot male. Okay, and p dot get age should be greater than equals to 18, and p dot get age should be less than equal to 25. So you can see that we created an interface and a class. That class is implementing that interface, and the method that is test that we are implementing. Okay, and we have added one logic. So whoever is calling this particular class, that will be with this particular logic. Okay, so let's create one method that is using this particular class. Okay, so here after this print person with age range, after that I'm creating one method here, that is public static void print people. Okay, simple. And here what it will take is, it will take a list of person, that is people, and it will take the check person as the interface. So here you can see that we are directly passing the interface. Okay, so you can directly pass whichever class is implementing this interface, and for that particular class we are going to check for the test method. So it will be simple. Here you can see that this particular class is taking the people and a check person interface, and this interface has a method that is test. So we will just say, for each person in the people, if tester dot test of person, if this is successful, if this pass the test, that is boolean, then p dot print the person. So here you can see that it's very simple. Okay, so what you did is, you had a for loop, and within this for loop, for each and every people, you have a check person interface that you have created here. This check person interface has one method, that is one boolean method, that is one test method. You can see there is a test method, and it takes person as the input parameter, and any of the class can implement this method. So we created one class, that is check person eligible for selective search, and in this particular we created one search, that is the gender should be male and age should be 18 to 25. Now you can create another class that has the different logic to it. Okay, and you can pass that class. So for this particular method, that is print people, we can call here this way. Okay, print people, and here I'm passing people, and then I'm passing new check person eligible for selective search. Simple. Okay, so this will execute my criteria. Here you can see that I'm getting all the males within the age 18 to 25. If I change this criteria that I want all the females And if I run this again, I should be not getting any records. You can see that I'm not getting any records. So here you can see that we have implemented this interface with a class as well. Now, rather than creating the class, you can see that there is a lot of code that we have already done, right? We created the class, we implemented the method as well. Okay, so what you can do is, rather than creating the class and implementing the interface, you can go ahead and do with the anonymous class as well. Okay, anonymous class is nothing but you create the class without declaring it. Okay, directly you just give the implementation of the interface. So let's do that as well. I will show you that example as well. So rather than creating this class over here, you will call the direct interface and you will give the anonymous class implementation. So it will be this way, like print people. You will pass people here, and then you will pass new check person. The moment you do this, it will be converted to the anonymous class. You can see that this is the new check person, this is the interface, and this is the implementation for it. Okay, you can see that we have to override this test method that is available. So what we will do, we will pass the same value, like give the same thing here. Okay, so this is your anonymous class that you are passing within the print people method. Okay, if I run this, I should be getting the same result. Let me just convert to mail here so I can get the result back. Okay, I'm getting the result here. Now at this particular point, you can tell that you have achieved some sort of generalization, like you can implement any of the methods, right? In this particular anonymous class, whatever the logic you need, you can directly give the logic to it and it will be executed. You don't have to create the different methods every time. You just created the interface and you can add the anonymous class implementation for it. You don't have to create the class as well. We just saw that we created the class, but that is also not needed. We can do with the anonymous class as well. Let's just directly give the implementation. Okay, that's the good thing. But what if you don't have to create the anonymous class as well, right? So suppose if we created this anonymous class. Okay, let me just copy this. Okay, and let me keep this as well. So you can see that this is the anonymous class example and this is the example other. Now Java is smart with the Java 8 with the Lambda expression, so it can handle this kind of stuffs, and Lambda is used for this kind of stuffs only. I'll show you, it is a really cool trick. You can see that we implemented the anonymous class and we give the implementation, but Java already knows this. Okay, so to convert this to a Lambda expression, what you need is, you don't have to give this anonymous class implementation. You can directly remove this part and you can directly remove till this thing. Okay, this is not needed. Java already knows about it. Okay, now what it is, to convert it to a Lambda expression, you don't need the name of a method as well, because it just needs the what is the input parameter and what is the implementation for it. So I don't need this name as well. I can remove this. So yeah, you can see that this is the implementation of the method that you have defined in the interface. So that interface has what? That interface has one method that was taking some parameter and it was returning a Boolean result. So here also we define the same thing. We are taking the one parameter that is of type person, that is also of type person. Here you can see that that was of type person and the return type was Boolean. So the same thing we did over here. Input parameter is of type person and the return value is of Boolean. Okay, now you can see that there is still an compilation error. So it still don't understand that it's a Lambda expression. So to convert your method to a Lambda expression, you just need to give the expression that is the hyphen and the closing angular bracket. That's it. You can see that now compilation error is gone and you can see that your method is little bit cleaner now. You don't have to do the inner class implementation or anything. This will also work. Okay, if you run this, you can see that you are getting the same result. So you can see that you just converted your entire logic to your Lambda expression. Now this Lambda expression, how it will work? This Lambda expression works on the basis of functional interface. So what is functional interface that we need to understand? Functional interface is nothing but interface that contains one and only one abstract method. That's it. It should contain only one abstract method. Currently, you can see that we have the interface that is the check person. It has only one abstract method. Okay. If you create two abstract method, Lambda expression won't work. The other thing in the functional interface is functional interface can contain any number of static methods or default methods. The only thing is only one abstract method. Now to make this check, what you can do is you can add the functional interface annotation as well. Now what it will do is once you add the functional interface annotation, it will restrict you to add any other abstract method. So the moment you add any other abstract method, it will not allow you. So you can see that if I add test1, you can see that it is throwing compilation error that multiple non-overriding abstract methods found in interface check person. Okay, if you remove this, there won't be any errors. Okay, simple. So it's best practice that whenever you're creating functional interface, you just add the functional interface to make sure that Java understands it, and whenever you are trying to modify it, Java will throw the exception, throw the compilation error. So my point was Lambda expression is only working because of your functional interface. It needs the functional interface to work. As functional interface has only one abstract method, your Lambda is the direct implementation of that abstract method because it has only one and your implementation is directly attached to it. Now Java is still smart. Okay, now you can see that you have added the type as well, like it is working with the person class and you are working with the person class within it, and your interface is also have that particular thing attached, like this particular test will only work in the person class. So if you remove this person class from here, Java will understand that we are working with the person only. Okay, so you don't have to add here as well. Now if you're only working with a single variable, you don't have to add the parentheses as well. Okay, so that's the one thing. If you have multiple variables, then you can add the parentheses with the comma separated value. Okay, and the name of the variable here, you can give any name, abc, xyz, foo, bar, anything. Okay, any name you can give to your variable, and the same thing you can use over here. If you don't want to use it, that's also completely fine. And if you have only one statement within your implementation, you don't have to have the curly braces as well for your implementation. Okay, so if you have only one statement within your implementation, it knows that you are returning some value, so you don't have to specify the return keyword as well. That means you don't have to add the semicolon as well. So this entire thing you can see that you can add within one line of code. So you can see that your entire logic is now converted in just one line because of your Lambda expression. This is the power of Lambda expression in Java 8. Now within this particular Lambda expression, you can see that the only thing we did was having one interface. Okay, that interface was check person and it was having one test method. Okay, now if you want to do such kind of operation, you don't have to create your interfaces as well, because Java has a collection of default functional interface directly added to the system, so you can directly leverage those. You don't have to create this type of functional interfaces which have this type of methods just to check the binary operations or all those operations. There are default methods available. So to do this type of boolean expression, there is a default function interface available, that is a predicate. So we can directly use the predicate and we don't need this particular check person interface as well. So we can remove that code as well. So let's take that example as well. So what I will do, this particular method, you can see that that's using the check person interface. So we will create one method that won't use that as well. So let me just copy this and I can say this print people with predicate. Okay, and rather than using check person, I can say this is a predicate functional interface. You can see that this predicate is of type generic, so I can define this is of person. Okay, and you can see that this predicate is also having a test method. Okay, and there are a lot of functional interfaces available. You can use all those functional interfaces. If you don't know what are the functional interfaces available, I will add the documentation. In that documentation there is a list available, you can directly check those out. So this predicate I can use here, and this predicate I'm taking as a tester, and tester.test, if that pass, then only this p.printPerson will be called. Okay, and if I copy this method and I can say print people with predicate, this will result in the same data. Okay, you can see that this is also resulting in the same data. So you can see that what we did over here was, rather than creating the different methods for different types of expressions that we want, different types of result we want, rather than creating all those methods separately, or rather than creating the interface and the implementation for it, or creating the anonymous class, we directly give the implementation directly within the Lambda expression. You can see that this is the Lambda expression. Directly give the implementation and it will work accordingly. You don't have to create interface, you don't have to create classes, you don't have to create methods, nothing. Just use the default interfaces available, leverage those, and they are not available, you have custom implementation. If you need, then you can create the custom class interfaces as well that will behave according to your business logic. So this way you can see that how easy it is to create the Lambda expression, and how easy it creates to create the coding as well, how easy it would be, and how less of a code that you have to write. Like you can see that earlier in the imperative style of coding you have to write a lot of code, but with the Lambda you can see within one line of code you can get the desired output as well. So that's the power of Lambda expression. Do practice Lambda expression, because that's a key thing to move towards the functional type of programming, and you should write in a functional style of programming only from now on. Don't use imperative style of programming. It will be beneficial for you to understand your code better, to do the unit testing better. You can modularize your code very easily using the functional style of programming. So this was all about the Lambda expression and how to utilize the Lambda expression, and how you can reduce your size of the code as well, and the power of Lambda expression. If you have any doubts, then do let me know in the comment section below. I will try to resolve your doubts as soon as possible. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. You can click on the join button and join my channel and support me as well. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.